Kick-Ass is pretty unique when it comes to comic book adaptations. Most comic book movies are based on a whole franchise and have an original story like Batman Begins or Spider-Man. Some comic book movies are direct adaptations like 300 or Watchmen. Kick-Ass is a direct adaptation. What makes it so unique is that Kick-Ass was written at the same time as the comic was written. Mark Millar pitched the idea to Matthew Vaughn, and Matthew Vaughn liked it. So Matthew Vaughn worked on the movie, and Mark Millar worked on the comic book, and they both kind of collaborated on this thing. So it was a very unique process. Because the circumstances of making Kick-Ass are so unique, I think it's interesting to look at what changed in the adaptation from the comic book to the movie. The movie version and the comic version of the character in Kick-Ass is pretty much the same. Aaron Johnson was exactly how I pictured Dave Liszewski to be. That's partially because I saw the trailer for the movie before I read the comic and was kind of envisioning his portrayal when I read it. But, like, the way he acts and everything is right on with the comic version. The only two differences I noticed were that Aaron Johnson's a brunette while the Kick-Ass from the comic book is a blonde, and the Kick-Ass costume in the movie has a hole cut for the mouth, whereas in the comic book it's covered up. Sort of like in Spider-Man when Peter has his wrestling costume before he gets his real Spider-Man costume. I think the mouth covered looks a bit cooler, but they're not really going for a cool character when they make the Kick-Ass costume. He's supposed to be kind of a dorky guy, so having the mouth cut out and having the costume look a little bit dorkier works for the movie, and I really have no complaints. The movie version of Hit Girl's costume is slightly different than the comic book version, but character-wise, she was pretty much the same too. Chloe Moretz did a really good job as Hit Girl. She was very entertaining with her really great stunt work and her delivery of her profanity-filled lines. Some people found it offensive to have this young girl saying all these cuss words and killing so many people in the movie, but I thought it was really funny, honestly. And when you go to see a movie like Kick-Ass, you have to realize that it's not meant to be seen by impressionable young children. It's meant for an adult audience. It's rated R, so you shouldn't be taking your kids to see that anyway. And it's not meant to be taken seriously. They're not saying that you should have trained little girls to go off and kill people. It's just kind of a joke. Red Mist is slightly different from the comic to the movie. In the comic, I don't think he's supposed to be as nerdy as he is in the movie. When Kick-Ass first meets him, he kind of sees him as a cool guy, he wants to be friends with him, and through some scenes it's revealed that he's not a very brave character, but he's not really as wimpy as he seems in the movie. When he betrays Kick-Ass, you can tell that he's really an evil character, and he's been pretending to be his friend the whole time, but he's not a good person at all. The movie version of Red Mist is kind of different. I don't think it's better or worse, it's just different. He's a lot wimpier and nerdier, but he's more of a sympathetic character. You can tell he cares about his family and that he doesn't actually want to hurt Kick-Ass or to betray him. He's portrayed by Christopher Mintz-Plasse in the movie, and I think he did a great job. Since his hilarious role as McLovin, he's been kind of typecasted as these nerdy loser characters. And I think that's what they had in mind before they even casted him. So if that's what they're looking for, he was pretty much perfect for the role and really funny. Costume-wise, the costume's pretty different. The Red Mist in the comics was all red, and he had this kind of mask that looks sort of like the Ninja Turtles mask. Red Mist in the movie, there's a lot more black to the costume, still red, and it keeps the same red M on the chest for it. It's also worth noting that for some reason in the comic his name is Chris Genovese, and in the movie his name is Chris D'Amico. Big Daddy is definitely the most different character when it comes to the transition between the comic and the movie. In the comic, his costume is very plain. In the movie, it's a lot different. It looks basically like a Batman costume. He's got the cape, he's got the big mask, where in the comic it was very plain, just a kind of ski mask almost, and a jacket. Movie version of Big Daddy was kind of had two sides to him. On the one side, he's a very dark character. He's driven, wants to take down Frank D'Amico, and he's brutally expert fighter, kills all these people. On the other side, we've got the whole persona of Big Daddy. He uses this parody voice of Adam West from the 60s campy Batman. So you're combining very serious and very campy elements into one character. The Big Daddy from the comics, I thought, was more of an imitation of the Punisher in his persona and everything. So to sum it up, with movie Big Daddy, you've got someone who dresses like a modern movie Batman, talks like the 60s campy Batman, and acts like the Punisher. That's it for part one of my Kick-Ass comic versus movie comparison. Keep a look out for part two. In that, I focus on the differences in the story.